This is a lecture from OpenTuition. To benefit from the lecture, you should download the free lecture notes from opentuition.com.
The final bit of Chapter 5 on capital allowances is on structures and buildings allowances, or SBAs for short. Now, I did mention these a little bit earlier. It's a capital allowance, and that means that if we're entitled to SBAs, and we're only entitled to SBAs if we prepare accounts on the accruals basis, if it's on the cash basis, you're not entitled to them. So SBAs, structures and buildings allowances, you get to deduct the amount that you can claim, once again, against your adjusted profit. So your adjusted profit less your capital allowances, and your capital allowances, of course, would be your plant and machinery, and if you're entitled to it, your structures and buildings allowances. Now, for many, many years, we had no tax relief whatsoever on buildings, and then they decided to bring one in. And they brought in SBAs back in 2018. And the main thing to remember as well with SBAs, because it works completely differently to the way in which the capital allowances on plant and machinery works, you cannot combine it in the same computation. You would need a separate computation for your SBAs because there are some very important differences. So the writing down allowance for structures and buildings allowances is 3% per annum. Now, 3% per annum, and the other important thing, apart from the fact that it's very low, is it's on a straight line basis, whereas with capital allowances on plant and machinery, it's reducing balance. Well, SBAs is straight line. So 3% per annum on our qualifying cost for SBAs. Now, what that means is at 3% per annum is we get to write off the cost of this building, this qualifying expenditure, over just over 33 years. Yeah, and then after that, once we've written off the cost, there's no more allowances available to us. Now, when we look at qualifying expenditure for SBAs, we're looking at commercial properties. So we're looking at saying things like factories, warehouses, offices, yeah, wholesale and retail, that's absolutely fine. So that's our buildings. And when we talk about structures, buildings and structures, we also include the cost of things like, walls and tunnels and bridges. So if you think about, a typical retail park, for example, you've got your buildings, and then you've also got all your roads in this retail park and so on. So that would qualify for structures and buildings allowances. Now, things that you cannot claim structures and buildings allowances on, the main one for you to remember is land. You cannot claim structures and buildings allowances on land. We don't get tax relief on land. However, if you buy a piece of land and you want to, build a factory on it, for example, and let's say that this land needs draining or levelling or whatever, you can't have the cost of the land itself, but you can have the preparation of the land in order to have this building actually built on it. Yeah, so that's fine. You can't have professional and legal fees, so any conveyancing fees, any solicitor's fees and stuff like that. One exception that we can have as qualifying expenditure would be architect fees. So the actual design of the building is part of the cost of the building, and therefore that would be allowable. You cannot have the cost of any planning permission, unfortunately. Any expenditure that qualifies as plant and machinery, you can't claim SBAs on. Now, this is a good thing because capital allowances on plant and machinery are more generous. So it could qualify for the AIA, in which case you can write off the total amount straight away, effectively, as long as it's no more than $1 million. Whereas with SBAs, there's no first year allowances or AIA or anything like that. It's just 3% straight line, which is pretty rubbish. So anything that qualifies as plant and machinery, part of the building, our integral features, for example, you would put in your plant and machinery computation, not in your SBA computation. And we said that it's commercial buildings as well, which means that you can't have it obviously on residential property. So any part of the building used as a dwelling house. So if you had a building that you were going to use for business purposes, but you put a residential property on the top, flat or something, then you couldn't have it on that part of the building. That would not qualify. So what we do potentially is we might be given a breakdown of the cost of this building, and you need to pick out the bits that qualify as opposed to the bits that don't before you start jumping in there with your writing down allowance. So 3%, say straight line on the qualifying cost. Now, if you build the building yourself or you have it built, that's fine. You can identify the cost. But what if you buy the building from a developer? Then once again, we need to have a look at the breakdown of the cost, because we can't have it on the cost of land. Yeah. So therefore we can have the cost, say, of the building excluding the land. And the other thing to do with the writing down allowance for SBAs, which is different to plant and machinery, because with plant and machinery we said that it didn't matter when during the accounting period that the item was purchased, you would get the full allowance according to the length of the period. With SBAs, once again, it's different. So SBAs can only be claimed from when the building was brought into use. So if you've got a year end of the 31st of December and you only bring it into use on the 1st of November, then that means you can only claim 2 months worth of that 3% in that first period. So despite the fact that the period is 12 months long, you've only actually used it for 2 months. So be careful with those dates. So it's brought into qualifying use. Yeah. So therefore watch out, because you might need to time apportion that 3%. Now, as it says there, if the question states that you're dealing with the purchase of a building rather than the construction of a building, then no SBAs will be available unless the question specifically states that it's available. And that's because it was only brought in 2018, which is quite recent. And a lot of buildings that you're going to be dealing with in the real world and in an exam will be a lot older than that. So just be careful. Just don't automatically go in there and calculate SBAs if it's not obvious from the question that the SBAs are going to be available. So let's have a look at an example. And we've got a trader, once again, preparing accounts to the 31st of March. And we're told that on the 31st of October, we bought a new warehouse from a builder, and it cost £240,000, but that included land valued at £90,000. And we brought it into use on the 1st of January 2026. So the first thing that we need to do is see what the qualifying expenditure is. So we need to deduct the cost of the land, because that definitely doesn't qualify. So our qualifying expenditure is 150. SBAs, 3% of that figure, and they're only available from the 1st of January 2026 when we bring it into use. And our year end is the 31st of March, so therefore for that first period we can only actually claim 3/12 of that 3%. So 3%, which is £4,500 per annum, but 3/12 for that first period, and that means that we can only claim £1,125 for our year ended the 31st of March 2026. Once again, allowable deduction against your trading profits. For the year ended the 31st of March 2027, as long as obviously we use it and we have it for the full year, we can claim the full 12 months worth of that 3%, which would be £4,500. Now, when we come to sell it or dispose of it, there is no balancing adjustment. Yeah. Once again, very different to plant and machinery. So when we come to sell it, we're selling land and buildings. That would fall under the capital gains tax rules. So we would need to calculate a capital gain on the disposal of that building, which is something that we're going to have a look at in more detail, obviously, later on in the notes in a later chapter. So there's no balancing allowance or balancing charge. Instead, what those SBAs will do when we sell it is it will affect the amount that will be charged to capital gains tax, because we've got our proceeds. Yeah, so let's say, for example, that this building here, we have it for a few years and we sell it for £500,000, including the land. So for capital gains purposes, we'd have proceeds of £500,000 because land is also chargeable to capital gains tax. And then what we would do is we would add in to our proceeds any SBAs that we've claimed over the time that we've owned this asset. So we increase the proceeds of sale for the purposes of calculating the chargeable gain. We would then deduct our cost, including the land. So we would deduct the 240, and that would give us our chargeable gain. It would be potentially a loss, but it's very unlikely because buildings do tend to increase in value. So no balancing allowance or balancing charge when we come to sell it. Instead, it will have a knock-on effect on our chargeable gain on the disposal of that land and building. From the purchaser's point of view, for SBAs, we don't really care about how much they actually paid for it. What the purchaser does is it takes over the allowable cost and the remainder of the 33 1/3 remaining life of this building from the seller. So we've ascertained that the qualifying cost is 150. So even though the purchaser, when we come to sell it on, might pay a hell of a lot more than that, it doesn't matter. We would still claim the 3% on the 150 for the duration of the time that we have this building, up to a maximum, of course, of a total of 33 1/3 years until we write it, until it's written off completely. Okay, so that's SBAs. So very, very different. But nonetheless, whenever we calculate them, it is still an allowable deduction against our tax-adjusted trading profits, along with plant and machinery. So from an exam point of view, say capital allowances are always going to appear in the exam. Yeah, they could be as part of section A, multiple choice questions, or your objective test questions in part A. They could be in part B, and they could be part of a part C question as well. So very, very, very examinable. Now, I did mention that it's the same sort of principle for companies. The difference with companies is there is never any private use assets, which we will get onto when we do companies at a later stage. So as he says there, learn the pro forma, practice the questions, have a look in your tax tables to see what information you are given and what you aren't given, and therefore what you need to remember. And just keep practicing. So there's another one there for you to have a go at yourselves. Obviously the answer is in the back of your course notes, but very, very important that you know what you're doing with capital allowances, especially plant and machinery.